He's charged with
Open murder, or?
He's charged with open murder, yes.
Okay. Does open include felony?
It does.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Ms. Baker?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sometimes it's a little difficult to figure out where people are going with this, but our position is that by far any evidence regarding the abduction and the attendant, the other things that are not specifically related to the Bletsch case are way more prejudicial than probative of any factor in this case. And they're also speculative, Your Honor. There is no evidence of, at least at the preliminary exam, that there was any indication that there was some sort of attempted abduction of Ms. Bletsch. Based on the testimony at the prelim, they have people who find Ms. Bletsch within a short distance from her own home on the side of the road, dying. And basically the evidence that they have to establish that it was my client is the gun. And they're experts who, excuse me, I did not just turn it off. Anyway, they establish that, or claim to establish that this gun was the same gun that Mr. Willis had in his vehicle. What the person's what the person who killed Rebekah Bletsch's motive was at the time is unknown, and it is speculative. And to try and say that whatever happened with this 16-year-old in 2016 is exactly what was going to happen back in 2014. I think that's a stretch. I don't think that that there is a similarity there, and I think the court has to look at that for each individual purpose that the prosecutor is suggesting that it's relevant to. There's a different burden of proof there, or a different finding of similarity that the court has to find, and I don't believe that they can establish the similarities or the similarity that is required for any of those. There is no common plan, no scheme at all. I think we have two crimes that are alleged to have been committed by my client, and the only commonality is the gun. That's it. And I don't think that they can establish anything else. And I think that trying to say that this abduction hearing is relevant to something in the murder case is a stretch and speculative. There is no other evidence to establish that or to corroborate it in any way. And Your Honor, we are opposing it. I think that under a reasoned scrutiny that the court will determine that it's not more probative than prejudicial.
Okay. Is there any proofs you want to offer today of any kind?
As far as testimony, Judge?
Yeah, yeah.
No, certainly. I mean, again, I wanted to outline for the court just basically where the evidence essentially that lined up with why that act in April, the abduction act, the kidnapping act, is relevant and probative for the homicide.
Well, okay. Review for me, again, I don't have a brief from either side on this, so review for me what evidence you have of an abduction being involved in the murder case.
Well, Your Honor,
my understanding is, based on what you've told me, if
Yeah.
I've got what you've told me, we have a dead body on the side of the road with 3 shots to the head. On the other side of the road, we have earbuds and
electronic device.
yeah, wristband. And where do you what is the proof of some sort of an abduction attempt associated with that?
Well, unfortunately, Judge, our only witness to that is dead.
Right,
So
I get that.
that makes, you know, our job a little bit more difficult when that witness is dead. And I think, Your Honor, as you look at in connecting some of the other pieces, that it's not speculation. It's actually not an unfair inference for us to make that Rebekah was being subjected to the same conduct that our young 16-year-old victim was being subject to. For Rebekah's sake, she decided to fight, fly, run, whatever, and unfortunately suffered the ultimate sacrifice for that. Our 16-year-old victim was actually a lot luckier. And I think, Judge, let's not forget that at the scene of where our 16-year-old jumped out of the car, officers find live rounds, 22 rounds, of the same caliber, same manufacturer, of the rounds that were in the gun obtained from the defendant's vehicle, and
So there was no ballistics checks, so they weren't fired. These were
They were-
bullets that were intact.
Correct.
All right.
We can only assume, Judge, that perhaps maybe the gun was misfired, whatever reason, they had been removed from the gun in some fashion.
Yeah, without ever being struck.
Whatever
with a
being,
firing pin or-
whatever being fired.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
being fired.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay? So if you piece all that together, Judge, and again, you know, to me, this is not, I'm not grasping at straws at this. I think that given the totality of the evidence that we're looking at, that is a pretty, that's a direct way of looking at what happened in Rebekah Bletsch's case. On top of the forensic evaluation of the computer, his fascination with necrophilia, abduction, videos, and porn, all that. So Judge, I guess to answer your question, do I have a witness that actually saw this happen?
No, I
No.
understand you don't.
I don't. Do we have, I guess, a common plan and scheme and system? We have a live witness, 16 years old, who was lured into his car, had a gun pulled on him, jumped out, was chased, and ultimately investigators in searching the defendant's van, the car registered to him, who he has control of, finds this weapon that ballistically matches the forensic evidence taken from the crime scene, not only of the shell casing, but also the bullet fragments from Rebekah's head.
Yeah, I get that.
And just for clarification, I think there was only one taken from her head that they
There's
were
two.
able to match.
No, there's two.
I believe it.
I think there was two, if I'm not mistaken. There was two and there were some fragments.
Okay, well, all right, you also got casing matches on the ballistics too.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Do either of you, you said you saw these computer things you took off the computer
Yeah.
involved bondage, necrophilia, and abductions?
Yes.
Okay. And this was on the computer that was located
In
where?
Mr. Willis's house.
In his house?
That belonged to him.
Okay. Does anybody, I mean,
Judge, the only other thing that I would say is that, and I kind of briefly mentioned this, but I'll highlight to the court. On top of the gun and other things, we find rope, chain, handcuffs in the car as well.
this is, yeah, but this is all discovered after the abduction case.
Correct.
Yeah. That's 2 years after the murder case.
Correct.
All right. Rope, handcuffs, and what else?
Chain.
Okay. Okay. And your position is the probative value is substantially outweighed by the prejudicial effect.
Well, ultimately, that's my position, but Your Honor, I don't believe that they have met that there is a proper purpose of this.
this evidence.
Okay, well, what do you mean? You're going to have to elaborate on that.
Well, Your Honor, I think that it's very speculative, and I don't think that, it's
What is
speculative.
what is speculative?
About what happened in 2014.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
the idea that Ms. Bletsch was going to be abducted is speculative. There is no corroboration to that. There's no corroborative evidence. While I recognize that the only witness to that is deceased, unfortunately, that's the way the evidence is. We can't make up evidence to try and make this happen, fit a certain plan or scheme. And that's what I think the prosecutor is trying to do, is they're trying to make whatever happened in 2014 match the 2016 event. It's not similar individuals. The two women are distinctly different. We have a 16-year-old girl in 2016. We have a 30-something-year-old woman in 2014. So they are not substantially similar, other than they're female. That's it. Judge, I think that this is not like John Smith going and using somebody's credit card fraudulently at Target 3 times in a row, and then they find that that credit card is used at Kmart on 2 different dates, and they have somebody that looks kind of like John Smith. And so you can use those 3 times that it was used at Target by John Smith to try and establish that John Smith did it at Kmart. This is not one of those circumstances. These are 2 very distinct events. They are very different events. And I think that the prosecutor is reaching. It doesn't meet the standards of, that are outlined in Vandervliet or any of the subsequent cases interpreting it, or even 767.28 or 768.27.
Okay, well, let me ask you, Mr. Nelson, what sort of a geographical area did the murder in this case, where did it occur? I mean, was it on a downtown street here? Was
No.
it in a parking lot?
Automobile
Was it
Road.
Okay, well,
If the court's familiar with that, it's on the north side of the county.
I think we need, for the record, we need to get that in here. So-
Sure. Automobile Road is a desolate area. I mean, it's a residential area, but it's a spread out residential area.
Well, where this body was found, was it in a heavily populated
No.
area, or was it an isolated area?
Isolated area.
Okay. And now, where did the kidnapping take place? What type of an area was that?
River Road and Green Creek, so again, northern part of the county.
Yeah.
And again, it's residential, but it's spread out residential. I don't know if you've ever been in that area, the northern part of the county, but it's very spread out. It's not like neighbors are on top of each other.
So this was an isolated spot where this abduction attempt took place?
Right.
In the kidnapping case?
Yes, sir.
All right. And was there a particular time of day that these events occurred?
During the day, in 2014, it was right around the 6 p.m. So, and this was summertime, June 29th. So it's pretty much daylight. Similar to the abduction, it was in the morning time. Around, I think it was around 8:30ish or 8:30, something like that, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Now, when the kidnapping occurred, was there any other witnesses to that? Was there anybody else
No.
around? Okay.
Nobody that came forward. The only other witness we have, Judge, is the woman who the 16-year-old ran to the first house she could find, and that woman happened to be up at the time, but she, I mean, was far off the road, didn't see it happen, just heard her screaming for help, needing to call the police that someone was trying to kill her, and that's where the 911 call comes from. But other than that, Judge, there were no other independent witnesses, and I believe the investigators looked and tried to talk to everybody that was in the area at the time.
All right. Does anybody, now, I'm going to take this under advisement. Does anybody want to submit anything in writing on this? If you do, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. I don't care.
Well, Judge, I wouldn't mind kind of cleaning up some of my factual basis and providing you some law. What time frame would you like?
Makes no difference to me.
Okay.
Have we got a pretrial scheduled in this yet?
Today.
Today is the pretrial?
Yes, sir.
Okay, these were just bound over.
They were. Yeah, very recent.
Okay. Well, I don't care how much time you need.
Couple
Reasonable
weeks is
amount of
fine.
time is fine with me.
A couple weeks is fine.
Okay. So, 2 weeks, would that work for you, Speaker?
Are you changing some of the facts?
Mm-mm.
That's fine.
All right. So I'll look for something from each of you within the next 2 weeks.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thanks, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Mhm. We can go off the record with that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're all set. Yeah, thank you. You guys gotta get your stuff.